This week, we're doing something a little different on the show. Elizabeth Hiza, Chief Marketing Officer, joins us for her third time on the show to discuss the study of Americans in the workplace, a national research study that focuses on the state of financial wellness, behavioral drivers, and unmet needs of people across the country. If you're in this industry, this is an episode you should not miss. Let's get started. I'm Paul Blanco, and this is Small Steps, Big Wins. Elizabeth Hiza, welcome back to Small Steps, Big Wins. I told you I'd have you back on the show, even though we're going to talk about your study, but welcome back to the show today.
Oh, it's so my pleasure. It's an honor to be back, truly.
Well, thank you. And I'm so excited about this study that you commissioned out and you've done. And I think it's so important that Barnum and yourself and your team has really thought real forward to say, we want to do this not only for clients to learn and to see what's going on with them, but truly for the advisor community. There's so much opportunity for them to understand the mindset of what the client's thinking. So why don't you talk about why and where we're at right now?
Thank you. And I have to start by thanking you and my peers and the entire leadership team, because when I approached you all on this idea to do this study, I knew it would take a significant amount of resources and time. None of you even flinched. You all were in full agreement to do it, in full agreement to put the information out there, and in full support of what it was going to take to really put this out there. So I really have all of you to thank to start this process and encourage myself and the whole marketing team along the way.
Well, it's our pleasure. And as you know, everyone changes as their career grows in terms of their goals and objectives. And mine has always been to just impact as many people as possible. And I think this is going to be something that's going to impact so many people.
You got it. And that's truly why we did it. So number one, Barnum has always believed in financial literacy and in financial wellness. So I wanted to put information out to the community just to increase people's level of awareness when it comes to their finances. Let me tell you about the study. So we worked with a third-party company that does this for a living. So Barnum commissioned this study, but we used a third party who puts out this type of information more often than we do. So we could ensure the study was unbiased, that the questions were unbiased. So we're getting really pure data back. We surveyed 1,000 people across the United States that balanced the census of the United States. We have people ranging from age 18 to 70. We have a very nice balance of male, female. I think it's like 49, 51. So we have a nice balance there. We have a beautiful balance of people across all areas of our country. We have a beautiful balance of income. This study is people making with a household income of $75,000 or more. And we have a nice balance of everybody in a variety of income ranges. All of that means that we could take this data and look at it from a variety of different areas, which we do specifically around generations. Because at Barnum, we are working with 4 to 5 different generations at any given moment.
Yeah, which is for an advisor, it's very challenging because you go out each day and you're putting on different hats as you're meeting with different clients.
Exactly. So it's important for us to know what every generation is thinking or feeling. So we have a nice balance of data. We wanted the study to do 3 things. We wanted to know, what are people thinking and feeling right now when it comes to their finances? Unfortunately, people listen to the media or they see what they see on social media, and that can paint a really dim picture of what's going on economically right now. And not to say that it is or isn't true, but I really wanted to know, what do people think of their own personal finances? So a portion of the questions dealt with just a general state of financial wellness in our country at the moment. Then a portion of questions dealt with behavioral drivers. What makes a person take action when it comes to their finances? So we know, you and I talk to clients every day, or we talk to advisors who talk to clients every day. When someone says, I know I need to purchase more life insurance, but they just don't do it.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and that's one of the biggest challenges in what I believe happens with social media today. Yeah. They get so educated but then they don't know what to do
They
with
don't
that
take the
education.
action. Exactly. So I wanted to know, what are the behavioral drivers of the consumer? What is it going to take for a consumer to take an action? So that's the second piece. And then the third piece of the study is, what are the unmet needs of the consumer? Selfishly, I wanted to know, where are we, our industry, falling short? What are the unmet needs? What can we do better for our consumers?
Okay.
So those were the three areas that we focused on, and we got hundreds of data points. I remember when I got this data back, I was like a kid in a candy shop. I was so excited, but so overwhelmed with what was in front of me.
It's amazing.
So for anybody listening, off of Barnum's websites, you can go to our insights page, and off of the insights page, you're going to come to the landing page of the study, and we have so much content there.
Yeah, why don't you share? Because I think it's important that the advisor community knows that they can go on there and pull. So there's how many white papers are
Yes, there's about 6 white papers looking at the information from generational, from gender, from maybe high net worth. We're looking at the data from all different market segments to help deliver more specific information. We have one up there now that our content manager is working on, specific to advisors, and how advisors could use this study data to help build their practice.
That's amazing.
And then, of course, you have a few videos taped by yours truly on there. And then we have a variety of different decks on there. So that is our content hub. So if you're looking for the information, I'm sure we can put the link in the show notes and anybody could find the study there.
Great.
So that's a synopsis of what the study is. My motivation behind doing it is to, one, deliver more wellness to the community. Barnum has always, I believe your model is built on financial education.
100%.
I believe Barnum is a standout because of all the free education we provide. And I don't think you're ever going to stop doing that.
Nope.
So this study supports putting out free content to the marketplace to make everybody stronger and better. The more you know, you're going to make better decisions. That was one motivation. The second motivation was for our industry. Also, you are very well known in the financial services space. Barnum is very well known in the space. We believe in giving back. So I wanted to give this data to all of our industry. So every advisor, no matter who a client is working with, can just do better.
And I think that we're going to continue to teach advisors what to do with the information as we continue to use it and pay it forward like that.
Consumer preferences are endlessly changing. Always changing. And this study helps bring those to light. And we should be sharing that with everybody
100%.
Because no matter who you're working with, the consumer deserves a certain level of service. And then, of course, I wanted to put this out for the consumer, mainly because when it comes to your finances, I think the majority of people, and the study proves this, feels that they're not doing enough, that they should be doing more than they're doing. So I wanted the consumers to know that you're not alone in that.
And I think that's, I've heard this before from advisors, where advisors say, I got referred to this client, I met with them, and then it was a great meeting, but they never came back, and they were making a really good living, but they weren't in a really good spot. And I kind of internalize that and think that maybe the consumers and the clients were a little embarrassed because they were referred from someone, versus looking at it the other way and saying, when's the best time to get started? It's now. Yep. And especially when you're in those situations.
Yep, you're 100% right. A stat that came out of the study is 39% of people just feel intimidated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have to break that wall down.
Yep. Exactly. According to the study, 70% of consumers feel somewhat or not prepared for their financial future, no matter what that means to them, right? A financial future, your financial future, of course, could be retirement. It could just be paying off debt. It could be you don't feel ready to buy a house. Whatever that definition means to the consumer at the moment, the majority of people do not feel prepared for that. And that's something that we want to take serious.
I agree.
And get under the hood of that and find out what is that definition of financial future to the consumer, and how can we help them feel more prepared?
So now that you have all these findings, what's the next step for you on this journey? Because it sounds like this study will live forever and continue to get updated. But the things that you found are reality that's out there. So what's the next step with this?
I think the next step is just to continue getting this data out there, specifically in financial advisors' hands, because now you could look at this from two ways, from the consumer and from the advisor's eyes. But my focus is to get this in the hands of advisors first, because we want to help them help the consumer overcome those barriers. So to your point, there's 71% of people who show interest in purchasing financial products, but don't because of not understanding fees and costs. 45% of the consumers are citing that they just don't understand the costs and fees. They don't feel clear about it. And that either means that maybe they're not listening to the way their advisor is telling them about it, or maybe the advisor does have to slow down potentially. Maybe they need to spend more time on that, right? It doesn't mean the fees and costs are incorrect or too high. They just cite not understanding them.
Well, and also I think some products are complex
Yes.
and they have to explain it simpler.
Yes. And possibly more than once.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's where the consumer tends to shy away because of the next stat, which you mentioned, is feeling intimidated. When you feel intimidated by something, you don't love to live in that space. Right. So if you're sitting across from somebody who's explaining something that is making you feel closed off or intimidated or scared or fearful, naturally, you're probably going to want to leave the conversation really quick.
Which is pretty sad. And there was a stat that really jumped out to me on financial wellness, and it was that 76% say engaging in financial planning would give them peace of mind.
Yep.
But I feel like that word financial planning has been around forever and used very loosely, where some advisors are just doing wealth management and they're saying they're doing planning, or some people are just doing protection and they're saying they're doing planning. And how do we get the consumer to understand what planning is really the thing that the industry has to do a better job of.
Definitely. And the majority of consumers have cited in this study that they want one financial advisor to just take care of their entire financial life. All aspects of their finances, they do want under one roof.
And what's interesting about that is there are some advisors that can do that. But I was asked a question this morning about teaming. And I said, when you think of that, what you just said, I do think that if advisors started to build teams that had complementary skills versus cloned skills, I think that would help with, one, the advisor's ability to do it, but then also educating the consumer on it, because now you have, just like the medical practice, you don't go in and have your knee surgeon doesn't do your neck surgery. And I think many advisors have tried to do all one-stop shopping, which there's 10 or 15% of the industry that can, but there's not 100% of the industry. And I think as you're sitting here as an advisor, you have to think through, do I want to do that other side, whatever one it is, and do I have the skill sets to do it? And the time.
And the desire. When we talk, and I love when you bring up teaming, because we're a big teaming firm. Lots of advisors finally are at a point in their career where they're ready to say, I only want to handle this part of the business, but I can't deny my clients the knowledge of every aspect of the business. And that's where the teaming comes into play.
100%.
So you don't have to do it alone as an advisor. A lot of people in this study talked a lot about working with tax preparers. So how can we partner with more tax professionals? How can an advisor bring a tax professional into their practice, formally or informally, to help give clients that knowledge that they need?
And it's just outsourcing those professionals to do that. So,
but not being, from the advisor standpoint, not being intimidated if you don't know the space, right? Just because you don't know tax doesn't mean you want to shy away from it from your client standpoint.
Fair.
Yep. It's going to be in every advisor's best interest to get those partnerships.
So when you and your team were looking in and starting to build what you talked about earlier, your content library, was there any surprise data points that you saw that jumped out at you immediately where you said, Oh my God, this one is a big one.
My gosh. Was there any one? How can I pick? This study is like my baby. Like every data point is like a child that I just love. All right, let's start with, from a financial advisor standpoint, the most frustrating aspects of dealing with financial products and services, because that's where I feel like that's where I just live my life, is trying to help arm financial advisors to do better for their clients and help our consumers overcome whatever's frustrating them. So what do you think was within the top 5 of the most frustrating aspects of dealing with financial products and services?
I would say maybe number 1 is service.
Service didn't come up on this one.
Okay. Complexity or access.
Yep. Not knowing where to start. Okay. So 30% of the people just don't know what to do.
Wow.
They don't even know what call to make. They don't know what website to go to. They don't even know what to say to the advisor once they get in front of them.
Well, I would also think that, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of my children that are now into the workforce. And if they didn't grow up in the business, what would they do? They'd probably come to us and say, hey, Mom, Dad, who's your finance? If they thought they needed one, mm-hmm. Or we would say to them, now that you've graduated, it's time that you meet with a financial advisor, or here's some of the stuff that's already been set up for you. Mm-hmm. Now meet with them, but where else? Or maybe a colleague or a friend.
Yep. You can get it from you. And that's it. The number one way that people will refer people is through trusted sources. But right after that, Paul, after you don't know where to start, then 3, 4, and 5 for the top most frustrating aspects of working with within financial services products is understanding costs and fees, understanding the market, and understanding how the products work. And that's where that knowledge gap comes into play.
Well, it's interesting. And this is just, call it a Paulism for lack of a better one.
Oh, I love Paulisms.
But this one, I do feel that as the industry has really, really changed and went to more virtual than mm-hmm. it was before, way more. When I look around, we're probably 85, 90% of our client meetings are virtual now. Mm-hmm. I do think that that ism of a picture's worth 1,000 words is one that has to get reinvigorated today, because many advisors would explain complex situations through illustrating them.
Mm-hmm. Drawing upside down. Remember, that was a skill that advisors had to.
Yeah. And now I think many advisors have not taken the time to adopt the new technology to be able to do the same thing through whatever means of Teams mm-hmm. or Zoom or whatever
platform you're using.
But I think they have to get back to that, because the client will remember the picture. And I think the second part of that is the storytelling. Mm-hmm. I think they will remember that stuff versus you just speaking. Very, very little of that will stick with them. And that will help them to take some very complex products and make them simpler.
Yep, which will help with the understanding.
100%.
Another stat that I loved is, what professional qualities or attributes would you most want in your financial advisor? 45% just want somebody who's knowledgeable and well prepared. Right after that, like within the 40% range, is that they create a customized plan that works for me. And that's a fine line for financial advisors, because it's hard to run big practices if you can't scale things.
Yeah.
But the end consumer doesn't want scalable plans. They need something that's customized for them. So as a financial advisor, that proves to us that's why you need teaming. That's why you need to utilize technology. That's why you need to utilize resources that are within your firm to help you with marketing support, to help you with communicating with all of your clients, because there's no way you can provide custom to all of your clients if you're not utilizing that. Right after that, easily accessible and responsive. Those are the top 3 things consumers want from their financial advisors.
And I think that if done properly, with all the demand and the way the industry is going, mm-hmm. there's so many opportunities for advisors if they do this right.
If they do it right. And these are pretty simple. The consumer just wants us to know what we're talking about, to be well prepared, to pick up the phone when we call, and to give me a plan that's going to work for me. I mean, it seems so simple, but are advisors really giving that to the consumer, to every one of their clients? That's a hard thing.
It is a hard thing. And I think there's people aren't waking up on both sides and saying, I don't want to give them this. And the consumer's not trying to not understand the products. But I do think slow down to go faster is a big opportunity.
The demand of the financial advisor today is just so greater than it was before. Literally, the ratio of financial advisors to clients, of course, is just growing and is greater. But the client needs are just greater. The complexity of our economy and all the different products out there just makes the financial advisor's job harder today than it was years ago.
Well, and then I was reading something in there about millennials, but I think it probably applies to everyone, all the generations, that they have access to so much more knowledge now. But is that a positive or a negative? Meaning, does it make them think they have the knowledge now and they're going to do it themselves, but they don't do it then? And I always believe that nothing starts until they meet a financial advisor. Yeah. But what is your feeling on that?
Yeah, that's such a great point. Especially when it comes to millennials or younger generations, is that they have time on their side, which I believe can give a false sense of preparedness. Right? When you're looking out towards retirement or towards anything that's maybe 10 plus years away, it's really easy to say, yeah, I know about that. I'm prepared for it because you have that time. But yeah, we are in a very do it yourself, learn it yourself type of world. And the younger generations tend to just learn on their own. But number one, they don't know what they don't know. They just learn what is fed to them. And two, unfortunately, everything you see online, everything you read, everything you watch on YouTube isn't always 100% true. So they're getting a lot of false information and they don't know where to delineate that. They don't know what's true and they don't know what's false. So if they go it alone for too long, that can be really dangerous. But using that information to educate themselves before meeting with a financial advisor, that's smart.
I would love them to do
smart.
that.
Yeah, that's being an educated consumer. But just thinking that you can DIY it, I don't, we don't believe that that's
well, we haven't seen that happen in years that we've been in the business. So let's talk about retirement planning. Like, what did the study talk about when it comes to the baby boomers or just retirement planning in general? Is there any important facts there that
when it comes to baby boomers, really it's that peace of mind that they're looking for? I mean, they know, they find value and they have experience with the majority of financial products out there. They feel solid when it comes to their retirement plan, but things like paying off debt are still cause for concern in their mind. The study asked the question about leaving enough for your family or leaving enough of a legacy. A lot of baby boomers still feel that they're not 100% certain that they can leave enough, whatever that means to that different baby boomer. So aspects like that are coming up a lot for that generation.
Well, and it's interesting too. And I think of back to the teaming or advisor being a certified financial planner or having the knowledge. When you think of a baby boomer, they're getting ready to possibly retire. Mm-hmm. They're getting ready to think about what to do with Social Security. Mm-hmm. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do or not do for their children in the future. Mm-hmm. They have parents that are probably approaching that Medicare stage of life that they're trying to figure out what to do with them. And that's bringing them back. Yeah. As I'm saying this now to you, and I just think of hearing of a client, then they have all their protection needs are very different than what they had then. They're budgeting. They're looking to say, where am I going to live in the future? The advisor has a really, really difficult job to pull all that together and truly educate them and show them how to take all this stuff and make it all work together.
You're right. You are spot on. 76% of baby boomers say that retirement is their number one financial goal at the moment. But 44% of them still want peace of mind. So to me, that reads that they are planning on retiring, but do they feel good about retiring? Or are they still a little nervous about it, right? Can they sleep at night knowing that the retirement plan that they have is solid and can sustain them?
Well, and as an advisor now, think about this for a second. When you're thinking about 25 and your goals, if you can really dig in and one of your questions that you're asking to any client through this, because you've heard Elizabeth talk about peace of mind probably 4 times today, you have to ask that question to the client. Mm-hmm. What does peace of mind mean to you?
You got it.
And you're probably going to get a lot of answers to the question.
Definitely.
By just asking that, and then think back to what she said earlier, customized plan. It's probably not easy to build a customized plan for everyone, but if you know what peace of mind is, that's going to directionally help you to shape the plan properly.
And you could continuously bring the client back to what they want, which is peace of mind, whatever that means for them.
Correct.
But Paul, you asked a great question. What are they concerned about? According to the study, 34% of baby boomers are still concerned about building an emergency fund.
Wow.
Right? It's basic, but at that age, having that discretionary income for just in case, that's still a big piece of what's making them nervous.
And I bet you many of them have it. They just don't know where.
Possibly.
They don't know the product that they're using to feel like they have it.
Yep. They don't know where it is. They don't know if they can access it. Again, peace of mind and financial freedom came up everywhere in this study.
It's amazing. So let's talk about, I know what you're doing with getting it out in the marketplace, trying to educate the consumer. But let's talk about the advisor community for a second. How should they be sending it to their clients? Like, what is the plan for the marketing team to do with this? How are you going to have clients use this in their own practices?
Well, we want as many clients or people in the marketplace to download the study as possible, because we feel very confident if anybody reads the study or a white paper or our key findings, they're going to learn something. And if you learn something, you're going to be more educated and you're going to be more likely to act. Okay. So we want to start with everybody, just give it a read and pull out something that resonates with you. So from our standpoint, my team is doing everything we can to get the study into as many people's hands as humanly possible. So it's all over social media. It's all over our website. We're doing a lot of different fun campaigns to get this information out to everybody.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, if I was a financial advisor today, would I just take one of the white papers? Would I take a piece of it and just, as one of my touches throughout the year, use it like that?
Exactly. So for example, I'm looking at a slide right now that talks about if you had a financial advisor assisting you with your finances, how often would you like to communicate with them?
What's the answer?
The answer, fortunately and unfortunately, it's that 87% of clients want to hear from their advisor on a quarterly basis or more. Okay. So it's not annually. I think a lot of advisors hope it's annually or wish it's annually, but it's not.
But I think the study might be sufficient for one of those quarters.
Exactly. So, and utilizing technology, right? That's what I read when I read stats like that it's going to be really impossible for one person to maintain quarterly relationships with their clients. It's going to be impossible for you to pick up the phone that many times in a quarter while still being productive.
Yep.
So you're going to have to use technology. You're going to have to use marketing departments if you have access to them. You're going to have to use different platforms to help you give your clients what they need. You just can't do it on your own.
Yeah. And I'm thinking even I know a lot of advisors are using video today and taking pieces of the study and building a video.
Yep. You got it.
So what else is cooking on the team?
We are talking a lot about customer service. So another insight that came out of the study is just, and it seems intuitive, right? You would think that the clients want good customer service, but we want to define what that means here. And how could the marketing team help give our advisors access to more content, to more information, to give their clients better service? So that's going to be a focus of what we're doing as well.
What is, so I think, what's the next 6 months mean to the study? Like, what is people start downloading it. They come to the website. You're going to take those opportunities and pass them on to advisors.
Correct.
We talked about them using it with their own clients. What's next?
We're just going to keep diving in. I mean, there are, like I said, hundreds of data points. So the what's next is just endless. I think we're going to focus most on unmet needs. I see a lot of insights there where my team could help advisors immediately with language that they're using. Is it possible that we have to possibly bring in a language coach to help advisors with storytelling and to help advisors create simplicity? I've watched a lot of our advisors present numerous times, and they are so beautiful and so eloquent when it comes to how they explain complex things, but that's not every advisor. So I want our team to help every advisor feel a little bit more confident to take those questions and make them easier for our clients to understand.
It's great. Study of Americas in the workplace. Done. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Now it's the hard part.
Please make sure for all of you go to the Barnum.com and look at the study tab. Will you do more of these in the future?
I hope to. This was a learning moment for me as a CMO. This was definitely a learning moment for my team. Again, I can't thank you enough for giving us the opportunity, but we got this data and it was like a wave for us. So taking the time to put it all together is really exciting. So I do hope we can do more of these. I hope we can use this as a step one and then just to continue to put more information out there.
I hope so too, because I think that educating the consumer, educating advisors, my mind is going fast right now of things that we can do immediately with helping advisors to meet the consumer where they want to be met.
Yes.
And I think that's really amazing. So,
yes.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you for being on again on Small Steps, Big Wins. I think that if you all take this study and digest it in small steps and start to use the thing back with your clients, educating them, it's going to really change the game for you. And you're going to be giving them the information and the language that they're using themselves that's in this study. So please take it, digest it over a weekend. There's 6 white papers, as she said. Go grab those and have some fun with it. And thanks again for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Small Steps, Big Wins. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their current opinions and do not reflect the opinions their respective parent companies or affiliates or the companies with which the program participants are affiliated. Investments or strategies mentioned in this program may not be suitable for you, and you should make your own independent decision regarding them. This material does not take into account your particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs, and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. You should strongly consider seeking advice from your own investment advisor. Securities and investment advisory services offered through qualified registered representatives of MML Investor Services, LLC. Member SIPC, 6 Corporate Drive, Shelton, Connecticut, 06484, telephone number 203-513-6000.